What's up everyone, my name is Trevor and I am the Gaming Goomba. I feel like people aren't really talking about the possibility of Virtual Console coming to the Nintendo Switch anymore. In the first year of the console's life, it seemed like everyone had an opinion about how and when the service would be making its way to the Nintendo Switch. Would Nintendo slowly trickle out the games again like they did on the Wii U? Or will we start right off the bat with a bunch of games? Will they finally start offering GameCube games to the service? How about Wii games? The Joy-Cons could easily support Wii games, it makes too much sense. These were all questions that we were salivating at the mouth for answers to, but the answers we got, I don't think anyone could have predicted. The one thing that we knew was that somehow this new Nintendo Switch Online service was going to be correlated to the release of the Virtual Console on the Nintendo Switch. Maybe they offer a certain amount of money given to subscribers every month to buy Virtual Console games. Or maybe they just straight up offer free games like Microsoft and Sony do. But I think the one idea that we all liked was the possibility of a video game Netflix, if you will. You pay for the Nintendo Switch Online service, and you get instant access to all of the Virtual Console library. Now that is a cool idea, and could really give Sony and Microsoft a run for their money. As we got closer and closer to the release of the online service, this seemed to be more and more likely. However, when we got the official announcement, we were told that for now, it would only be NES games, and not even a lot of NES games at that. Nintendo started us out with 20 NES games, and a bunch of them weren't even good. Ice hockey, soccer, pro wrestling, tennis were all the great games we had on the Wii, 3DS, and Wii U Virtual Console. If Nintendo was going to do it like this, then fine, I understand, but at least make the game selection worth it. I would rather individually buy the games I actually want to play instead of paying $20 a year for like 5 games I might play for like 5 minutes each. Over time, I kind of forgot about how mad I was over the lack of a Virtual Console service, and I think a lot of other people can say the same. Every once in a while, Nintendo would announce one decent game for the NES or SNES app, and people would get really excited about it and quiet more and more down about the potential of a return of Virtual Console. Remember when every week we would get quality games added to the Virtual Console on the Wii, and now we're satisfied with what, a decent game every couple of months on the Switch? What happened to us? Last week I decided that I wanted to try out the original Paper Mario for the first time. I thought it would make for a good video before the Origami King came out. Now, I'm a console purist. I want to have the original console with an original cartridge sitting on my couch with a first-party controller in my hand. But even I have my limits. I decided to check into eBay to purchase a copy of the original Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64, and oh my god! Almost every single copy of this thing is running for over $100. I hate being a Nintendo fan sometimes. This game obviously isn't rare, there's a bunch of copies listed on eBay. Everyone just knows that us stupid Nintendo fans would pay anything for this stuff. Okay, so I'm not gonna pay $100 for a copy of Paper Mario on the original Nintendo 64, so what's the next best thing? Well, it has to be an official Nintendo release. I don't do emulators, I still need to be playing on a Nintendo console with a Nintendo controller in my hand. So obviously, I could go the Virtual Console route. Then I suddenly get a little angry as I realize I can't just get it on the Switch because Nintendo is stupid and stubborn sometimes. The 3DS does not have Nintendo 64 games. I have not seen my Wii in years. That left my Wii U. A while back, I loaned my brother my Wii U because his Xbox 360 took a crap and he had nothing else to play. But just recently, he obtained the Nintendo Switch because he wanted to try out Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I think it's safe to assume he doesn't need that Wii U anymore. So I call him up, ask him if he can bring the Wii U over, he says he can, sweet. I checked the price of Paper Mario on the eShop online and it's $10, definitely better than $100. However, after we get it hooked up, I forgot our Gamepad had a short in it and it was nearly impossible to get the charger to work. We only used it for a Smash Bros machine and you don't need the Gamepad to play Smash Bros. But to access the eShop to buy Virtual Console games, you have to be connected to the internet, obviously. But to get connected to the internet, you have to go through the settings, and for some reason, Nintendo made it to where you could not access the settings unless you had a Gamepad. Why? At this point, I am getting extremely frustrated. After I get the game downloaded, I no longer need the Gamepad, so the next option was going to my parents' house because I remembered seeing that old Gamepad charging dock in a box in my old bedroom recently. And the port on the bottom is different from the port on the top, so it probably works. Before I angrily drive an hour to my parents' house though, I decided to take a picture of the Gamepad and share my frustrations with my Twitter followers. You guys should follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, we have a grand old time. So I pick up the Gamepad to take my picture and post my rant on Twitter. I set the Gamepad back down and oh my f***ing god, it started charging. I don't move a muscle, one subtle movement and it could stop charging. I carefully remove my hands from the Gamepad and leave the room for 30 minutes. That should be enough of a charge to connect the system to the internet and download Paper Mario. 30 minutes later, I return to my game room and the Gamepad is half charged. Finally, I could connect to the internet, log onto the eShop, and download Paper Mario, and I even avoided an hour drive to my parents' house. Do you see how hard it is to authentically play these older games without a Wii or Wii U chock full of virtual console games? As I log onto the eShop, you would think I would feel relieved, but instead, something else happened. This eShop, it's beautiful. Look at all the variety here. NES, SNES, Game Boy Advance, TurboGrafx 16. Whoa, you can download DS games on the Wii U? That actually makes perfect sense. The gamepad's like the bottom screen of the DS, and the TV's like the top screen. This is awesome! They even give you the option to download some Wii games like Super Mario Galaxy. Keep in mind, this is like only half as good as the Wii's Virtual Console. The Wii had most of those consoles, plus Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx CD, Commodore 64, Neo Geo, and some direct arcade ports. Nintendo, what the f*** happened? Why are we okay with this? Okay, I know we're not exactly okay with this, but we have kind of just rolled over on our bellies, gave up, and let it happen. 3 generations ago, we had an incredible virtual console library on the Wii. In the next generation, we lost a couple of the classic consoles, but we gained Game Boy Advance and DS games. Things were still looking up. Now 3 years into the life of the Nintendo Switch, we have a little over 80 games total, and only on the NES and the SNES, with a couple of individual Sega and Neo Geo releases thrown in there. At the launch of the Nintendo Switch, I was excited for the future of retro gaming on modern consoles. Nintendo announced that some of these virtual console games would start to have online functionality. I was thinking we'd have games like Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Smash Bros., Super Mario Kart, GoldenEye, with online functionality with friends and strangers. That would have been awesome! There are a few games here and there that you can play with friends, but aside from that, we pretty much just got leaderboards. I had this idea of playing the original Super Smash Bros. Online in a random party with strangers with voice chat and all. Instead, we are more than 3 years in, and we don't even have Nintendo 64 games on the console. I kept trying to convince myself that full virtual console service would come eventually, but it's obvious at this point that it will never happen. There are more than 15 million people subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online. I think that sends a message to Nintendo that we're satisfied with the service, even though we're really not. We just want to play our games online. But why would Nintendo put forth the effort to bring more games and more functionality to the service when they're already getting the results they want? Every September, when it's time to renew our subscriptions, Nintendo will give us a little something to make sure we stay subscribed, but not much. This is why I believe we are all but guaranteed to get Nintendo 64 games in September. Why put forth more effort when they are already receiving the results they want? It's a damn shame too. The Switch is the perfect console for this service. The Virtual Console gives us the opportunity to put all the games we love across every generation on one device. And the Switch has given us the option to play all those games at home or on the go, whenever we want. As a lover of gaming history, my fear is that these games are going to be forgotten over time. Sure, the ROMs will always be online, but what 8-year-old in the year 2040 is going to bother looking up a ROM for a video game from the 1980s when they've got so many other entertainment options? When I was growing up, there was always that cool feeling of scrolling through the Wii Shop channel and finding out that some of my favorite modern games have actually been around for a really long time. And I could check out the roots from like 25 years ago. What kid is going to open the NES app, see tennis for the NES and think, wow, there was a tennis game? I've got to check this out. The Virtual Console is what got me into retro gaming and game collecting in general. Heck, it's the reason I got an NES and started to collect for it. I wanted to have these games in their original forms. Thankfully, the Wii U eShop is still up and running, but I'm sure it won't be for much longer, so I would recommend browsing through it one day and downloading any games you think you might want. Although I don't think we will ever get anywhere near close to the original Virtual Console on the Nintendo Switch, or any future Nintendo consoles for that matter, I do hope that Nintendo one day comes to their senses and starts making more of an effort to preserve gaming history once again. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of this video. It means the world to me. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn the bell on so you can be notified every single time I make a new video. And if you'd like to support the channel beyond just watching, liking, and subscribing, which I already greatly appreciate, you can check out the link to my Patreon in the description below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.